Brands, we hate them, but we love them. When I think about the origin of brands, the origin of me, when I think of me as a baby, when I thought of brands, when I engaged in brands, when I engaged in toys, then I'd say I was obviously very small. But let's say I remember the brands like Barbie. That was something my generation was into. We couldn't afford Barbie. They were ridiculously priced. So my mum went out and got the cheap version Barbie, the kind of wonky looking one from Lidl. Bad hair, no working limbs. And you knew the limbs. That was the experience. That was what Barbie held. That's what you wanted. And then you moved up in your teens, and I was thinking about Swedish brands, but let's say international ones like Levi's. Oh my God, I want Levi's. I want the fitted jeans. And so you get these instructions that are super odd, that you're supposed to jump into a bath and lay there in water so they soak up your body shape. And you walk around with it. I didn't do this. I don't know if you did it. I've heard these weird instructions also come with shoes. Brands is work. We're reached by 5,000 to 10,000 brands daily, online or physically, when you go to your local market. And they speak to you, and they try to specifically have these conversations with your specific personality, either your individual approach or your herd mentality. And brands are an extension of ourselves. It's not just objects that we purchase. No, they're supposed to just be the length of our identity. So when we look at them and people use brands, we have quick associations. You are German and you have this Mercedes-Benz. The G-Wagon. You are criminal, but you also like off-road and hiking. You're a Tesla. You own a Tesla. I have many thoughts, and I live in Silicon Valley, and I wear Patagonia vests, but I don't use social media. Or you have Nike. Just do it. Do whatever, just do it, yeah? Just do it with our stuff, and as long as you're doing it, you're doing it. And these brand personalities, whether they're taken from Carl Jung or not, they're supposed to resonate with me. Am I going to be transformed into an innovator? So I have the kit of an innovator, the Patagonia vest, the Tesla car, the super hi-fi system, whatever. Or I want to have a Birkin bag and a Mercedes-Benz. And I eat expensive Dubai chocolate. Who knows? The question is, how do they do it? And why do they do it? And does it work? I've been really excited about this first episode, that I've been postponing it for weeks, trying to map out exactly what I want to include. And this is a big subject, so bear with me and join me on the ride. We're going to dive into the world of branding and consumer behavior and the strategies that kind of comes with it all. And whether you're an entrepreneur, a student, a business developer, see this as your kind of monthly top-up. I'm Amanda Ames, and I'm a product designer and a sustainable brand strategist. And I help brands globally with their whys and their hows, and trying to see the interesting way of how we can connect more with these brands, so to say. Today, let's reflect on the final weeks of 2024. What are the major takeaways? We've just navigated the consumption frenzy, Black Friday, no Black Week, no Cyber Monday. Well, you get it. These days are multiplying, and as our appetite for more stuff. Fascinating. And globally, we're talking about $74 billion that was spent during 24 hours on the actual Black Friday. Well done. It's actually a very bad outcome, but for some reason we have more to consume and maybe an emotional distress. And meanwhile, you have brands like Patagonia who are trying to do the opposite. They're closing their stores and giving a full-on statement on why not to consume and really think about the stuff that you own. Is it a good strategy that will make them profitable in the long run? Or is it a bit of a hoax and just trying to connect with certain target audiences? We're also going to unpack the Jaguar rebrand. Why do we get so emotional about it? And majority of us don't own an E-Type, so why do we really care? What's the do's and don'ts with the rebrands? We are taking on American shopping trends like never before with this whole Black Friday frenzy. And it's fascinating to me that we can still find things to purchase. Is it our answer of global distress, or do we actually need all the things? Meanwhile, COP29 in Azerbaijan hoped people would listen and contribute funds to countries that are seriously suffering by producing all the stuff. In the end, they only agreed on 20% of the asking price. And that's also a bit of a sad story. But Black Friday, what's the origin there? Where is it coming from? Apparently, it goes back as much as the 1869. So the phrase was coined by these two dudes that created a financial crash in the gold market. In the 80s, they redefined the phrase as a positive thing, to go into the black, which was a profitable thing. And from that, it's kind of created this global expansion and spread to countries like UK and Ireland and Scandinavia and so such. And today, we're spending crazy money on it. It's the biggest shopping day in the world. So of course brands engage in that. Of course they're going to participate and push this kind of flash sale strategy. But the brands that don't do it are also telling a story. Well, the brand, as mentioned, Patagonia, what they do is that by shutting down their online stores, they're trying to send a message regarding their environmental and sustainable approach to their product line. And they want to educate their consumer group to consume less and to maybe think twice over the actual consumption that is being done. And that message can actually have a great impact of a brand rather than decreased sales during one day. The benefit is that it kind of joins in the brand equity, the loyalty that you create, and this type of big mission of saving the planet, even though you're in the fashion industry, can reason with a lot of target audiences out there. Because that's how we choose brands. We choose them with our ideology. It's supposed to be, again, an extension of yourself. So it also creates positive publicity because they're taking a stand, and it will reason to new target audiences about their point of view. And that has also a value in the long run, and that can build your brand. The long-time gain for Patagonia with a strategy like this is that the narrative strengthens in this topic, and that automatically put them in a stronger position as in the market, in the brands that are associated with sustainability. So there can also be loads of benefits with this. However, have in mind that these activities also comes with campaigns pushing no consumption, like the Don't Buy This Jacket campaign. Let's talk about Jaguar. See him as this gentleman in a tweed suit. He was maybe always out of reach for you. Maybe he came from old money, but he wasn't maybe that interesting to you in general, unless he was like James Bond with an E-Type car. I'd be interested in that. Right. Well, this same man had a fix-up, yeah, and started to go to Burning Man and got really into rave and colors. And now you meet him and he's like 200 years younger than before and extremely cool. Are you suddenly interested or confused? This analogy is about when a rebrand hits you like the ice bucket challenge. You weren't really ready for the makeover and you're starting to ask why. A rebrand is often done when change is necessary. Either sales are declining, maybe you've done something stupid like Volkswagen Dieselgate scandal, or like Gap, you just changed your logo from something to something else, and then you went back 1 week later. But very bad story. It all comes down to one conclusion, yeah? That we are strangely invested in brands even though we don't own a share. Brands work on our emotions. They tap into make you feel things because you often act in your emotional state. If you're made redundant, you're going to go out shopping or something like such. And that kind of brings me to the topic of brand equity. Brand equity is the value that you bring apart from the product. It drives customer loyalty, support premium pricing, strengthen your market position. So what happened with Jaguar and the buzz around it was that in that case, their sales were actually decreasing and they had to reinvent the brand. And when you do that, you also ask who's your target audience. And it's very clearly aimed to the Gen Z, the biggest shopping consumer group in the world. And that consumer group also considers shopping as a hobby. And then these frenzy, crazy colors. Good luck on them. We'll see where that takes us. But of course, it's hurt people. They've taken on, is the heritage there or not? Time will tell. So why do companies rebrand? Well, it's quite simple in a way because it's about injecting new life into your business, attracting fresh new eyes, align with the changing market. But here's the problem. If you do it wrong, you risk everything. Confusion, alienation, and potentially you hit the bottom line. So let me tell you some classic rebrands that we still remember. Twitter became X because Elon Musk purchased it and wanted now uppercase letter. People weren't really entwined with that change because it came from a quite friendly bluish bird into this very futuristic letter. But somehow the whole behavior around the brand also came with it. Pepsi did a rebrand back in 2009. They rolled out a new logo and it was supposed to convey a new era. But instead it was seen as convoluted and overthought. And they apparently needed to explain why it looked like it did. And that's the lesson learned there, is that if you need to explain your logo, you're not there. That's a bad lesson. The pitfalls of rebranding is that if you ignore customer feedback, and you don't need to listen to all of them, but if you listen to none of them, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure because in the end, they are the money. Chasing trends. Rebranding for the sake of being trendy is a recipe as well for disaster. Trends are short-lived, but bad decisions, they last forever. Overcomplicating things. Keep it simple. If the rebrand needs a 10-minute presentation, well, clearly it's not working. Rebranding is serious business. It's not about chasing the last design trends. It's about evolving to stay relevant and to maintain the core essence of your brand. And not slapping a new logo every time a trend is coming and knocking on the door. The best rebrands are those who understand their market and that they last over time and make bold moves that customers can actually go behind. If you're going to redesign something, do a test first. See if it works with your target audience. Because if your rebrand turns into a public joke, well, it's too late to undo it. Undo it. So now when we kind of jumped into the talking of cars, I can equally mention other brands that have done some redesigning. Obviously, we're in the time of the EV era. We're going from fossil fuel to electric engines. And so does the brands. They jump into that gate as well. Not the diesel gate scandal, which I'm of course going to mention just briefly, but it is a fascinating story. And they did change their logo very shortly after that. But companies like Kia, for example, and Skoda, these are two brands that have just changed their logos the last couple of years. And funny enough, they had complete different strategies when they launched themselves. Kia was the cool one that had some, well, kind of like Jaguar. They joined in with some crazy footage and motion, and it's all about trying to align that target audience. Skoda, I don't know. I mean, I like Skoda, but they just took another... they weren't much of it. They didn't break the internet, okay? They didn't break the internet. So they changed their logo. That's the end of that story. It didn't have, it lacked viral content, let's say that. But Dieselgate, the graveyard of Volkswagen. 2015, Volkswagen tried to cheat on their emissions tests by installing some software into the diesel vehicles. They figured that out. Well, the people that needed to figure it out. It became a huge mess. We're talking $30 billion of fines, recalls, and legal settlements, and a graveyard of 11 million diesel vehicles. That is so ridiculous. I look at you, Felix, right? How crazy is that? That is crazy. And of course, that took a massive turn in the stock market. I don't know how much they dropped, but let me just say 70%. I don't know. 100. It was a hit on the brand, and the CEO was fired, and they had to redefine the brand because one of their brand words is loyalty. So they had to shove that away and try and figure out what was their brand going to be now. And now they moved into the EV market, and their logo is thinner. Felix, did you buy anything on Black Friday?
I did not. I went looking for things, but I didn't find anything.
It didn't. Sad story. But that's good. No, good. That's bad. It's bad, Felix. So you did look for things. Do you shop more online or physically?
Physically, I'd say. I like going to stores and actually see what I'm buying.
Yeah. Me too. And argue with the customer reps. This is bad. Actually, I'd be surprised how bad they actually know their products many times. And they just end up... sorry, but yesterday I saw this woman at Shell & Company totally rip this sales rep apart because her little door handle that was digital and futuristic suddenly broke and she couldn't come into her house, and she had a family. And I'm like, that's a crazy tech problem. But she gave him the worst day of his life, and I didn't say anything, but I should have. I should have told her, you're the worst. He did not design this. But that's like a weird future problem.
You need to find someone to blame.
Yeah, always. And that's why everyone's blaming the CEO of Jaguar, apparently. What do I thank? Do I want to thank online shopping? I want to. This is a special thanks to Amazon and their quick delivery. That's they were the sponsors this day. No, honestly, happy holidays. 2025 coming ahead. It's going to be interesting to see the consumer trends on that year, and specifically kind of jump into the world of branding. We haven't even started yet, okay? So enjoy your holidays and see you soon.